MGoRadio 3.1. This might not actually be reaching anybody right now, but we have a podcast that we can post afterwards.
Yeah.
So sorry for the technical difficulties, everybody. Sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes he eats you.
Sure. Yeah.
Speaking of the bar eating people,
that Florida game.
Oh, man. So usually in this segment we talk about kind of things we learned after UFRing the game. And in Ace's case, watching it once and feeling...
Hey, I read the UFRs, you know.
And reading the UFRs, yeah.
So watched it twice, thank you very much.
We will start with the defense because why not?
It's a good place to start.
Michigan comes out with a 3-3-5. That's pretty obvious. And, you know, the thing that kind of stuck out to me on review is that, you know, a couple times they actually had that personnel out there and they would put Gary as a defensive tackle and they'd put Furbush down as an end.
Yes.
So they have kind of a four-man line look from that, which means that they want to be diverse with it. And I don't actually know how much they really showed. So,
yeah, I mean, they were pretty much in that three-man basic front for almost the entire game and weren't showing, given the variety of defenses that you can, variety of looks that you can run out of it, it seems like they were pretty vanilla.
Yeah, which was a little bit odd because vanilla is the last thing you expect the 3-3-5 to be, but
especially a Don Brown 3-3-5.
Right, like whenever they needed that linebacker to be an extra defensive lineman, it was almost always Furbush.
Yeah,
and it was almost always Furbush inserting on one particular side of Mohurst. So I bet they have a bunch more stuff that they practiced and they needed. Well, they didn't need, so they didn't bring it out.
Yeah,
which is encouraging, but also a little less encouraging because it's like, okay, this this Florida team is so lame. We don't even need to do anything.
Like they didn't need to change up from the one weird curveball they threw.
Right, yeah.
Just kept throwing it. Yeah, I mean, it is tough because Florida has all those suspensions. They are talented, but their offense has been kind of a mess. It's normal game ones, even against good teams. It's sometimes tough to extrapolate a lot from, and this is a game where that seems to be particularly the case just because of the state of Florida's program right now. But at the same time, the defense was just so good with the defense that we weren't even expecting them to run. Yeah, that it's hard not to be pretty excited about them coming out of that one.
I mean, that was one of my number one takeaways is, I look for things that were open but didn't actually come off. And there was like the one like terrifying screen thing that Zaire didn't even look at. And then there was the Winovich thing, which isn't like a tactical error. It's just like he's not doing his job quite right. And
on the touchdown that was held back,
that one that came back. And the secondary, there were no busts. There were no open receivers.
Yeah, which when you're working with a bunch of first-year starters, that's pretty. Because Florida, I mean, they might not have the most refined wideouts, but they have a lot of good athletes out there.
Yeah.
Part of getting beat is just staying with a guy. Yeah, and Watson was able to do that down the sideline on that authoritative pass breakup, and that was like the guy that we were worried about really with staying stride for stride with guys.
I mean, he does that, and he's like hyped up. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, same thing.
Yeah, like I feel the same way. I wasn't expecting that either.
No, I was like,
that was sweet.
And then Tyree Cleveland had the kind of improv catch where he skied up and got 20 yards on Watson, but
tough to stop that.
My main takeaway from that is that he jammed the guy, and then when that guy hitched up, he was in his breadbasket, and there was no throw there. And that is more important than like what happens on a scramble drill, because a scramble drill, you're going to get got sometimes. But
yeah, especially when the wideout can jump 10 feet in the air and reach back like that. Cleveland's an athlete.
That guy has some talent, and
it'd be nice to see him in a real offense.
Well, as long as Michigan's not playing.
Yeah, true.
But, so I thought Watson was good. I thought Hill had the one, big issue where he kind of lost track of the ball and got hit for a big one. I thought the first completion on him was just them executing very well.
That was a tight window.
Yeah, and hit like inch perfect. And when that happens, you lose.
I
remember when Jordan Lewis was a freshman. Like that happened to him about 6 times in a row.
That was he was cursed by the gypsy his whole freshman year.
Yeah, like the Akron quarterback was dropping dimes on him the whole time. And
I'm like, how is this happening?
I'm like taking screenshots of like Jordan Lewis with an arm outstretched and the ball going like an inch over it.
Like between two fingers.
So I think you can get a feel for the shape of what a secondary looks like, even if they're having some completions on their face.
Yeah.
And that was pretty much close to the best case scenario.
Yeah, nothing over the top. Couple tight windows hit. Maybe one play that you'd really like to have back.
But that'll happen.
Yeah.
And then the safeties were, like they were, on the first snap of the game, they were like, all right, Tyreek Hill is no longer a safety. He's now a quarterback. And like, I think it was Long became the free safety.
Yeah.
And that speaks to how much confidence they have in him as a cover guy. And that's something that I thought really came through not only with him, but also with Metellus.
Yes. He looked excellent in coverage, and that's especially encouraging because we've already seen him come up and support the run pretty well. We know he's got range from the safety spot. We know he can hit, but coverage was the thing that we weren't as sure about, and he passed his first test pretty easily.
And he made a lifelong enemy in Brandon Powell.
Oh man, that whole play did not go so well for poor Brandon Powell.
So he discards Powell before the Felipe Franks fumble, and then Marshall runs him over. And then later in the game, that 4th and 3, which was Florida's last gasp, they go to Powell against Metellus.
And Metellus is blanketing him.
And also interfering with him. But this is
call it blanketing.
Well, and this is why we have the term Rubbins Racing.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, a Days of Thunder reference for all of the 1990s Tom Cruise fans out there.
But got hordes of them.
Well, it's a good movie. So I had the Days of Thunder NES game. Not to date myself. What was I talking about before Days of Thunder?
Rubbins Racing with Metellus.
Very, very professional podcast.
Indeed.
But, that's a slot receiver, and that reminded me a lot of Delano Hill.
Yes.
Because that was what he did against Indiana to win that game. That was one of the things that he really brought to this defense, is an ability to cover the slot receiver in man coverage, and
that's why he was a 4th-round pick.
Yeah. And if Metellus can do that, along with being Josh Metellus, that's, man, these Flanagan kids,
like Devin Gill comes in, and we weren't expecting anything out of Devin Gill.
No, because nobody said his name for the entirety of the
quietest offseason. And all of a sudden, a scholarship player that we can remember, and then he's out there for when Mike McRae's dehydrated, and the defense doesn't miss a beat, really.
No, he makes one pretty decent play where he fills the sideline and tackles. But, yeah, and he's the guy who's, like, trailing the pack. Because Metellus is a starter, and, man, Devin Bush. Best linebacker debut since I've...
Is that the highest grade you've given out for a linebacker? That, actually plays linebacker?
Maybe, I feel like that's a good disclaimer, because I think Peppers probably hit something along that last year. But, for a middle linebacker, that is a huge grade.
That was an absurd score. And I feel like it doesn't... I wasn't surprised when I saw that he graded out that well. I watched that game twice.
But so I give out a +3 on a sack if you beat a blocker and sack the guy by yourself, and there's not some mitigating factor.
Yeah.
And Devin Bush did that twice.
And the one where Don Brown dials up that crazy loop around blitz.
Yeah.
He has to cover, and really on both of them, he had to cover so much ground just to get to Franks. And still, it wasn't like that was a play where you think the quarterback's holding the ball too long. He just managed to really close that ground quickly.
No, both of those kind of felt like, for many players, those would be incompletions forced.
Yeah.
Because, the quarterback would flush, and then, you'd get a pressure, but the guy would be able to get the ball away. And to be able to run those guys down, and they're both athletic guys, is really something.
Yeah, that was kind of across the board, really, for Michigan on Saturday. There was... I think the Florida quarterbacks were a little surprised by their closing speed on a few occasions. There was the 3-man. This was late, but the 3-man rush against Zaire, where Winovich closes down that gap and gets a hit on him. He covered 15 yards in a flash. I don't think Zaire was expecting to get crushed on that throw.
No, he definitely wasn't, because he jumps, right?
Yeah.
It's not a good idea. And then Hudson had a couple of similar plays on a waggle where. He's out there, he checks, he sees that he's got license to go up and get the quarterback, and he closes that distance in a flash. So
there's a lot of speed on this defense.
It feels like a really, really fast defense.
I mean, you've got defensive lineman tackle on tunnel screens.
What's the slowest guy on this defense? Is it Brandon Watson, the guy who just...
the first person we threw out was a corner.
Right. That's messed up.
That might not even be wrong.
I know, it's probably McRae, right?
Yeah.
He had some edge issues last year.
Yeah, it may actually be Mo Hurst over, it depends how many yards we're talking about.
Relative to your position.
Yeah. Okay, and then in that case, it's probably either McRae or Watson. McRae is some people's best inside linebacker heading into the NFL draft next year. Watson's the third corner.
And he just D'd up on some 4-stars.
Yeah. Well. So defense is looking pretty good.
Best case scenario, really.
Yeah, they outscored Florida's offense. It's hard not to feel good about that.
Honestly, the only thing that I think could have gone better against Florida is Rashawn Gary doing more speed-to-power stuff instead of edge rushes.
Just trying to maul some people. He did get upfield a little bit a couple times.
Right, and that's my complaint.
Our complaint is Rashawn Gary wasn't awesome enough.
Right. And I've done these charts forever, and this one was the most dominant I've done against a real opponent, I think. I'm sure the Delaware State one. Why would I even UFR that?
There's some dark days in there, man.
It was I'm just putting this chart together, and I'm sometimes I add up the numbers, and I'm oh, that's homerish, and then I go back and I double check just to make sure that I'm actually in the ballpark, and I was I gotta,
because that was a clean sweep. Every player grading out positive.
Yeah, and a couple of the cornerbacks were +1 or +1.5, but then you got to go look at that coverage metric, which was +20 and -3.
Yeah, they're doing that on a very low number of events happening.
Yeah.
Between the defensive line pressure and the coverage downfield, there wasn't a lot to throw at.
No. And God bless Don Brown.
For real.
And God bless Jim Harbaugh for going and hiring like the most college DC. I feel like we got, who's the defensive coordinator at Virginia Tech?
Justin Fuente?
No, the DC.
Oh, the DC.
Who's been there for a million years and whose name suddenly escapes me.
Oh, God.
Bud Foster.
Yeah, Bud Foster.
I feel like we got to hire Bud Foster.
Yes.
Which is something that you don't get to do because Bud Foster is Bud Foster.
Except, like, grizzled cop Bud Foster.
Right.
Makes it even better.
But just a guy who you know is an elite college coordinator and a lifer at that position.
Yeah.
So, like...
And Don Brown also adds in the whole, like, he knows, like, 27 East Coast coaches that nobody else outside of the region has ever even heard of. Like,
yeah.
There's so many random little bonuses to having him. But the main one's having a top 5 defense every year. It looks like that's a pretty good bonus.
And how about the scouting on the lower rated guys? We kind of touched on this when we were talking about the Flanagan.
Yeah, like Bush was on like kind of the 3-4 star borderline because of his size, and man, that dude is incredible.
And Michigan stop recruiting Caleb Kelly, a 5-star who starts for Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. Stop recruiting David Reese, who was starting for Florida and picked up a few starts for them last year.
And as this was happening, I was like, I'm not really a fan of what's going on here.
I did not feel great about the David Reese, Devin Bush situation when it was going down.
Yeah.
It just seemed like he got the bird in the hand. Like at least tell him he's going to play linebacker. Let him enroll. But now it's like, you know what? However you decided to do that, fine. This looked great.
And it was weird because Metellus and Gill kind of felt like add-ons so that they would get Devin Bush.
And now Metellus is a critical piece of this defense, and Gill looks like the valuable depth player at the very least.
So, and those are some of the lowest rated players in that recruiting class.
Yeah.
Bush less so than the others, but still a guy who looks like he's going to outperform that scouting. And I mean, it's really good when you can see that trust the coaches is something that you should actually do. And
yes,
a lot of the personnel on this defense are those guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other thing that kind of became clear when I was doing this is that there wasn't a lot that we could tell about the second string because they just didn't get out there very much.
Yeah.
But Carlo Kemp did get a few snaps early in the game after Gary kind of had one of those I got too far upfield plays.
The Frank Scramble, I believe.
Yeah, and he got out there and he was targeted on the first snap that he was out there, and he defeated a blocker and got off and made a tackle.
Yeah, really nice shed and tackle on the edge.
So that's a really good sign for his future. And I think the last snap of the game was a sack that Uche and Ben Basse.
Nice.
Ben Basse, right?
Ben Basse.
Ben Basse, yeah. Thank you. They had a twist blitz, so Michigan State style, and Uche went through 2 linemen, and Ben Basse forced the quarterback up into the pocket, and he kind of bounced off Uche, and that's a sack. So that's a good sign for those two guys. And of course, Devin Gill got some time in as well, and looked totally functional.
Yeah,
which is so weird.
Yeah,
basically everyone you throw out there, it's like, oh, that guy's good too.
Yeah, it's a very different feel looking through. I mean, there's still time left, but these Harbaugh classes compared to the Hoke classes, where the bottom end of Hoke classes, you kind of just write off for the most part.
Yeah, also the top ends.
A large swath of those classes. But yeah, at this point, it's just, hit after hit. And so, I mean, even though Harbaugh's only been able to bring in relatively small classes until this most recent one.
Well, the first one was
it was just a funky hybrid class, too.
Yeah. That was like a 14.
But, it looked like he was hitting on Keith Washington until Washington transferred.
Yeah, I still regret that.
Yeah.
That would have been useful to have that guy around.
Yeah.
But best case scenario on the defense, and probably better than is reasonable for best case scenario. They
certainly
straight up dominated that team, and I know that Florida has not had a good offense, but they had 150 yards of offense, mostly on broken plays and a couple of downfield shots before garbage time, and let's go.
Yeah, no, that was about as good as it gets.
All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we're going to talk about the offense.
Let me just tell you a couple things to keep in your mind while you're out there. When we take the field, we're going to win. We've got big goals. We've got big ideas. We've got to win this game, and there is no game on the remainder of our schedule more important than the one you're going down the tunnel to play today. Now let's go! Let's go!
Underground Printing is proud to present the Bow Store. Visit us at our new location at 333 South Main or online at www.bow.team.
It's painless, it's online, it's group ordering made easy for your next custom printed apparel order. Pogo from Underground Printing takes the aggravation out of custom printing for a group. Whether you're selling shirts for a fundraiser, organizing a large event, or trying to collect sizes and payment for a family reunion, Underground Printing is here to help. Save time and hassle every step of the way with our easy-to-use site. No more guessing what to order, chasing people down to pay, or wasting time trying to sort out who needs what. We'll set it up and you can just sit back and relax. We can even take care of individual shipping. To learn more about any of our convenient locations or at pogo.undergroundshirts.com.
Hi, this is Seth from MGoBlog. So we bought our home through a local bank. Family friend was the banker, but the underwriter was it was a nightmare. So we went to refinance. I talked to Matt. It was so different. He shops the loan to different underwriters, so we were a priority for them. And he knows what they needed from us top, and he does all the work himself, so he keeps all the costs down. Anyway, that's why I highly recommend Matt. He's licensed in Michigan, Ohio, and Florida. You can give him a call at 734-531-9950. Visit his new office in Ann Arbor on State Street, or go to homessurelending.com/MGoBlog, and he'll take care of you. That's Homesure Lending, NMLS number 1161358.
I grew up in a small town of Hazlitt, Michigan, and I witnessed a lot of great people making a lot of poor financial decisions. And I thought to myself, I don't want to be in that position. I don't want to have my retirement at risk. Over the last 17 years, my team has developed and refined our process, which helps people understand what's important to them and what they value most. And because people don't have pensions anymore, we're adding in multiple income streams during retirement. At Peak Wealth Management, our goal is to build long-lasting relationships, and we do that by building trust, by showing our integrity, and letting them know how much we care. And that's one of the most important things we do here at Peak, is understand your goals and help you get there.
Welcome back to MGoRadio 3.1. We are recorded on location in the Bow Store on Main Street, so stop by and glare at us, perhaps. We're thanking our guest author, John U. Bacon, because this is an old one.
Hey-o.
And in the chaos of our technical difficulties, I neglected to mention our fine sponsors. So I'm going to do that now. We are sponsored by Underground Printing, the Bow Store, Homesure Lending, the Alumni Association of the University of Michigan, the Residence Inn Ann Arbor Downtown, Ann Arbor Elder Law, Lantana Hummus, Human Element, Michigan Law Grad, and Peak Wealth Management.
Tana Hummus, we're now on brand with our visuals. If you've been watching the live feed.
So, Rishi brought a camera, and it's ruining it's a very visual podcast joke.
It really is.
So we're
hiding behind things.
We're
trying to set up a perimeter.
We're the worst people to sponsor.
Oh, absolutely. I don't know why anybody does it, but please continue doing it. I enjoy doing this for a living.
Yeah, we've got to give
It's really wonderful.
a gimmicky top 5 of places to go pre or post game coming up.
Not sponsored.
None of those places sponsor us.
If you're interested, holler at us.
Yeah, we do like money.
You might not like our live read, but we do like money.
And your food and or drink.
Indeed.
We should do like a worst 5 restaurants in Ann Arbor, and
That's how to really reel them in. We'll leave you off our list.
Yeah.
Hey.
I don't know.
Sponsorship by bribery.
Now I'm trying to figure out what the worst 5 restaurants in Ann Arbor are.
Yeah, you will actually make this.
Oh, I've got one. I shouldn't.
We just talked about this.
Come on. All right.
The offense, Florida.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about that. So, the big controversy in the aftermath is the performance of Wilton Spate. I got my take out on the blog. I'd like to hear your take.
I mean, I think there's a certain part of him that is going to be difficult to trust for a while because we have seen these shaky moments out of him. They're a little unpredictable. I thought the first interception was more on Crawford than on Spate. That's a catchable throw that's thrown into a tight window that hits him in both hands.
Yeah.
The second interception was a terrible throw. He did miss the wide open wheel route, which turned out not to bite them, but that was an easy throw to make, and he missed it. His check, horrible throw.
His mistakes are big mistakes.
They really are, and that's the concerning thing when you're a team that's trying to make the playoff, and that's where this team is at. Is that this is a potential playoff team and a potential title team?
That's where you're at, right? Like after
watching that defense, heck yeah.
Okay.
Heck yeah. I said potential. I didn't say.
I mean,
that's kind of like, heading into the year. I said 10-2. I mean, then flip one game and there's your playoff bid.
I mean, it's 10-2, and they've already won one of the games that had a single digit.
Exactly, and they won it
emphatically. Yeah.
So Spade, I mean, I don't think he's going to ever be this just killer. Like, we'll see flashes of it, but I don't know if he's ever going to be this killer quarterback all the time, just because there have been these blips, and I don't know if you're totally going to iron those out. But I don't think he's as inconsistent as fans think he is. There was a lot that happened. The stretch run last year is hard to erase, and the thing is, other than the beginning of the Iowa game, there were serious mitigating circumstances there, and considering those circumstances, he did quite well. So I'm optimistic that he'll be like an all Big Ten level quarterback this year. I think people holding out for him to turn into an All-American can probably.
Are those people?
There are people who think every Michigan quarterback should be an All-American, right?
And those people are the maddest.
Yes.
I mean, I feel like I'm Mr. Randomness, right? Like I always want to not overreact because
things happen. We're working with small samples all the time.
I feel like people are talking about all the bad things that have happened to Spate, and I'm like, okay, we have been maximally punished as an organization for Spate's mistakes.
Yeah.
So he fumbles a snap, and they lose it, which happens 30% of the time when you fumble a snap? Probably not even that. And he gets hit, and it goes directly to an opponent for a pick six.
Yeah.
That's not really even on him, but I feel like a lot of people are still putting that on him from the Ohio State game. And then, of course, he does throw a really bad interception in the Ohio State game.
Yeah, there was one of those.
But, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I think Spate is better than what most people in the Michigan fan base think right now.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Spate negativity this week.
And going back over the game, man, that throw to Eubanks, that was inch perfect.
Yeah, and he had probably 4 deep throws that were that good.
Yeah, so the throw to Crawford that drew the PI was going to be a gorgeous dead-on throw, except he gets grabbed twice.
Yeah. And then he's got the post to Perry.
Yes.
And then, the black one was easy, but
he hit it.
And he did the right thing there, where he's like, all right, I'm just going to make this dumb, easy throw.
Yeah, just don't throw it out of the end zone.
Yeah. So, I think people are really up in arms about his deep ball ability after the Iowa game, and I didn't feel like that was warranted.
No, we saw the Pro Football Focus stat where he graded out as the best passer rating quarterback on passes of 20 yards or more in the Big Ten.
I do feel like he's streaky.
Yes, I would very much agree with that assessment.
And I feel like that's not a great trait if you
prefer just consistently solid. But, but as streaky quarterbacks go, he's getting more good than bad in there at this point. And there's a lot of upside there.
Yeah.
The team's clearly quite comfortable with him. Yeah. And there is something to be said for the fact that he does seem to bounce back from those mistakes without much issue a lot of the time.
Yeah, but you never really know when he's going to go off a cliff for a little bit.
Yeah, that's the disconcerting part. Now there was in this game, he did have Lizio letting a lot of pressure in his face. There were a couple throws that were impacted by that. Not the interception.
No.
But he did have some pressure that he could see to deal with, and that can be a little distracting for a quarterback.
Yeah, a little bit. I really buy that as an argument for why his performance in the Florida State game was better than it might appear at first. But, I mean, honestly, like, I thought the pass protection was at least okay, and maybe even a little better than that.
Yeah, I mean, it was really just that one spot that was leaking through.
Yeah, and then Cole on, like I think Michigan's last offensive snap just got worked. And there's, like, a blindside sack.
Took it off one play too early.
But honestly, I mean, Cole's a really interesting guy to talk about from this game because this is a team that entered expecting that they had 4 or 5 defensive ends who could really go get it.
Yeah.
They're playing Mason Cole, a guy who had his struggles against top flight rushers as a left tackle. And I got him for like 1 pass pro minus on a stunt. But when it was like just straight up, let's try to block this guy who's trying to pass rush, he was perfect until the last play of the game. And honestly, I'll take that.
Oh,
like
yeah.
if he gets worked once in a game by C.C. Jefferson and company, like, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Especially since with Spate back there, you don't know if that's even going to result in a sack.
Yeah, and then on the ground, he was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know I missed his various Mason Cole
Just blocks in space.
Yeah, like the stuff he was able to do as a sophomore as a left tackle, couldn't really do very much as a center, and he was back on it. Yeah, this weekend, like the thing where he throws a guy upfield and then goes and wrecks a safety 20 yards downfield. You just know that he's going to find a guy to block, and he's actually going to obliterate him, which is really hard to do because you're in a ton of space. You're trying to block a defensive back.
Yeah, you're going against a guy who's probably like 110 pounds lighter than you and faster, more than that.
And he's just utterly consistent at those.
Yeah.
It was like welcoming an old friend back.
It sure was.
An old, very mean friend.
And also, he's got kind of a tag team partner now in Ben Bradison.
Yes. You always hope that you get like a big leap from a freshman to a sophomore year, but you never really know it until you see it. We kind of thought that Bredesen was making that just because of the depth chart, where they're just like, yeah, this guy's the starting left guard.
He's just locked in the whole time.
There was no question about that the whole time, and he really paid that off in this game as well. So he and Cole were executing scoop blocks, which are double teams and very difficult to get right a lot, and they were killing it. And his mental errors, which were his big problem a year ago, were almost entirely absent. Yeah, like maybe there was 1 or 2 in there. And man, if that keeps up, like even as a true freshman, I didn't think he was physically overwhelmed. He just didn't know what he was doing all the time.
Yeah.
And if he's had a full season at left guard and a full off season at left guard, and this is as locked in as he's going to be, I think he's an all Big Ten guard now.
And that's just such a huge piece to have in there, especially since, Cougar looks solid.
He does.
And Wainu had his ups and downs, but you can see the potential there.
Yeah. So he had a real rough start, and then I thought initially that they brought in Runyon to give him like a breather.
Yeah.
But it was not that. It was because he was really struggling, and they basically sat him down for the same reason they sat Spate down. And like Spate, he responded.
Yeah.
So he still had an up and down game. Didn't get to our Mendoza line of 2/3 good to 1/3 bad, but he climbed above 0 after starting out like negative 3.5 in 20 minutes. So that's a pretty good pattern for a guy who's in his first start.
Yeah, and especially Florida does have some very good defensive tackles.
Dude, their 3-tech is awesome.
Yeah, they've got some really good defensive linemen.
I looked him up. He's from Wyoming.
That's a random pull.
He was like
I bet he was number 1 in the state.
Yeah, sure. I think he was like a 3.5-star kind of guy because you can't get full 4 stars out of Wyoming.
That's a Quiddy Pie.
But like someone on Florida did scout there because that kid was like he would explode off the line and he'd get himself stuck between 2 offensive linemen. They just didn't know what to do because they couldn't leave him because he was just going to go tackle the back. So they just got hung up on him a ton.
And he was keeping linebackers clean.
Yeah, and I was like, I'll take that guy.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. We played Florida, and there was like one guy. I was like, I'll take him.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Ivy. I probably Ivy, right? Like he's good.
Yeah, although I kind of think that touchdown was on him.
Well, no, he was on the guard.
He was expecting, but the guard was looking for the linebacker to blitz. You can't just let a guy get that far inside of you when your guard has to check the blitz first.
I don't know.
There was nobody else on the outside to block. His reaction was amazing.
It was definitely like, that is on you, buddy.
Yeah, but then
the play is still going on, and he grabs him, and he points at the quarterback.
Yeah.
It was,
that's why I included the broadcast angle of that play and the replay in the GIFs post, because the replay was better for the most part, but the broadcast angle caught the whole, just like, what the heck was that, dude? And that needed to be in there, but man, I don't know, either way, I'd probably take one of their linemen to put in a right tackle.
It's like they accidentally launched a nuclear weapon, and they're like, look what you did. Why did you turn the key while I was also turning the key?
Chase Winovich didn't mind.
No, he did not.
He did not wait to see whose screw-up it was either.
He probably knew already. We should talk about Nolan Elizio, who got like a horrible score in UFR that I'm not sure I entirely buy. I know I gave him that score.
Yeah, wait, man.
This happens sometimes. Like I get done and I'm like, oh, God. So what was happening pretty consistently is that they'd have a defensive end between him and a tight end, and he would go leave immediately and go look for work elsewhere. And the tight end would not be able to block the defensive end.
And you would ding him for this.
Yes, because that's just it's how the right play. It's how it goes, right? It was so consistent, I thought it might be a schematic or a coaching issue, and we're going to find that out going forward. When he was actually making contact with people, and he looked fine on the ground, but there were so many mental issues, and he had a couple of early Ben Braden kind of like lunge Olay blocks, where he got just straight up beat by a guy who dodged him. So a really rough start. He had 6 pass pro minuses as well, a couple directly leading to sacks, and it's not like I expected anything different.
No, I mean, that was a tough position for him to be in, starting his first game against that group of defensive linemen. And it kind of went how we were afraid it would go and expected it to go.
Yeah, but I'm not like going to throw in the towel just yet. This is a guy who has a couple of reasons why he would have a steady upward mobility as he gets used to the position.
Yeah.
As he gets more practice time. A guy who was actually, I think, the second or third Harbaugh recruit ever.
Yeah.
And a guy that, I mean, we were just talking about their ability to scout on defense. Like, hopefully Elizio is one of those guys, and he will bounce up from a rough start.
Yeah, and got a few weeks to kind of get it under control before they really hit serious competition again, too.
Yeah, I mean, his situation is such that I expect some struggles against Cincinnati, too.
Definitely.
But, like, mitigating those and kind of stabilizing yourself as the right tackle is going to be something that's going to be one of the most interesting things for the next 3-4 weeks.
Hopefully one of the very few interesting things over that period of time.
I mean, I don't know, I like
blowouts are fun, too.
Touchdowns.
Yeah.
But he's a guy who you just hope he can get solidified by the time we're talking about the Penn State game.
Yes.
Will he? I don't know.
We'll see. I mean, that was a rough start, but yeah, there's a serious competition caveat there with Florida, and a first start caveat. So hopefully things gel.
And I wrote down TE blocking with a question mark afterwards, because Harbaugh was talking after the game about how there was struggles with tight end blocking, and I think that was true. I had -2 blocks for each of the redshirt freshmen, and that's going to happen, especially because these guys are often kind of oversized. And McCune had a couple of similar issues, so getting those guys together and getting them to just to be functional tight end blockers is going to be a work in progress. I did think Wheatley was good.
Yeah. He did completely cave in the entire side of a line on one play. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, and a lot of the things where he ended up chasing someone to the back were,
the right tackle leaving.
Yeah, the right tackle leaves, and then the defensive end slants away from you. And that's an almost impossible block to make, and I've watched a lot of that far too much of it, and I don't put any of that on Wheatley. I put it on the tackle or the scheme that had him in that kind of terrible position. So I think that's a good thing for Wheatley, because we're always, you hear about him in practice and they're still trying to get him to be a consistent blocker. I thought he did a good job against a tough defense.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Like, we didn't see like a ton from the wide receivers that was notable, other than Grant Perry was really good.
Yes.
And we talked about that in the Monday podcast. I don't have any different opinions about it. Like, he's a good player.
Yeah, Tariq Black looks promising.
Yes, sir.
Dropped that one pass.
Yeah, don't drop that one pass.
Promising. They've got guys.
We've got some dudes. We didn't see Oliver Martin, which was a little surprise.
Yeah, and a disappointment to you, I'm sure. You're in the bag for Oliver Martin.
I am in the bag for Oliver Martin. That's true. So, offense, I thought, they put up 450 yards against a really good defense.
Yeah, they did. They ran the ball well, for the most part. With three different backs, all looking pretty good.
Yeah, their backs were decisive. Isaac really knew when to bounce it out, and the other two guys had a couple of similar incidents when they saw the opportunity on the edge and they took it. I kind of think that they missed a few, like Evans in particular, and I know there
was an offset draw that Higdon really missed.
Oh yeah, that was a sprint draw.
Sorry, a sprint draw. It was a draw, and he missed a huge hole.
I used to call it that goddamn counter draw, because that was the Braylon Fest issue.
Yeah, it sure was.
But no, Braylon Fest happened. So
yes,
we shouldn't.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not bitter.
No, you'd be bitter about one of the most hilarious and excellent wins in Michigan history. And the sprint counter draw made it all possible by putting us in a 17-point hole.
It did.
But I thought the backs looked good, and I think that's important because, you lose Ty Wheatley, and you bring in Jay Harbaugh, and, Jay Harbaugh is not a guy who's been in the NFL as a running back for a decade.
Mm-hmm.
So there's always some questions about, is there going to be a fall-off? Like, Harbaugh, the younger, has been, I think, an asset for the program. I think a lot of the stuff they're doing on special teams is him, and he's a good recruiter. You just don't know about his proficiency as a position coach, and after the last few years, I've come around on my previous opinion that it just doesn't matter at running back. Because I think Wheatley did really good work, and hopefully we can see that continue. And honestly, Chris Evans is probably coaching himself
for real,
because he's coaching at all other hours of the day. And
why wouldn't he be? That was an interesting thing from Jay Harbaugh's presser this week, was he talked about how a big part of his coaching is just constant feedback from his players. So maybe that is just Chris Evans coaching the entire position group. Pieces are starting to come together. Coach Evans. There it is.
He's going to be the head coach here in like 30 years.
I'm so excited for him. The hair better still be just that big old flat top. I'm going to be supremely disappointed.
Going a little gray. That would be awesome. I think I'm out of Florida offensive
takeaways. Yeah, it would have been a bigger points explosion if not for a couple unlucky moments there. One unlucky moment and one just bad one, really.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to come back with a gimmicky top 5 that has been previously discussed.
If you need a place to stay in Ann Arbor and don't want to be stuck out by I-94, there's a new hotel downtown, and the owners, who should be well known to the Michigan community, have asked our help to get the word out. The Martin family, yes, that Martin family, recently opened a Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown, just a block from Main Street and a short walk to Michigan Stadium. They're competitively priced and offer a free hot breakfast, free Wi-Fi, a fully equipped kitchen in every suite, and an indoor pool. That's the Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown. Want the perfect game day outfit? Underground Printing has unique, great-fitting apparel and officially licensed apparel from legendary Michigan names like Woodson, Howard, Schembecker, Ufer, and more. UGP also specializes in custom-printed apparel and promotional items for groups, events, and businesses. Whether you need one shirt as a gift or 1,000 shirts for a charity walk, Underground can customize almost anything for groups large or small. To learn more, visit Underground Printing at one of our 3 convenient locations around Ann Arbor or online at undergroundshirts.com. Dum da 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 dum da
If you find yourself on the wrong side of the law in Ann Arbor or around Metro Detroit, you want a Michigan man in the huddle. Call former prosecutor and now criminal defense attorney Jonathan Paul at 248-924-9458 or visit his website, michiganlawgrad.com.
The places you'll go may seem far from Ann Arbor. From San Francisco to St. Louis to Shanghai. But as members of the Alumni Association, we're never far. Because Michigan is more than a place. It's a mindset that connects us. For those who leave Michigan, but for whom Michigan never leaves, this is where you belong. The Alumni Association of the University of Michigan. Join today at umalumni.com.
Field goals in the game.
I have not, personally.
No, you have not. Well, then I don't love you. And you were on a wild thing.
I mean, I don't have the hairdo either, so that's a couple knocks against me.
Could you do that? You could. Come on. You've never done anything weird with your hair.
If he hits two more a game, you know what? I don't want to get into this.
that's so if he hits crap, two more 50-yard field goals in the same game.
No, I'm saying like every game from here on.
No. Come on, like two 50-yard field goals in one game again this year.
Again, I have to do the wild thing here.
Yep. There we go.
All right.
That's pretty unlikely, right?
I sure hope so now.
All right, we have a gimmicky top 5. It is a home opener related gimmicky top 5.
It is.
So you've gone to the game or you're going to the game, and these are the places you should go afterwards for.
Or on your way there, depending on how.
Or on your way there for libations, or perhaps comestibles.
What if I thinks is food related?
One. Oh, you have libations.
Yes.
Why am I drinks? $10 words. Get a shot.
Professional and fancy ass podcast.
Shot walking into the saloon. You like your pretty words, boy. Anyway. Anyway. All right, Ace, you're number 5.
It's the one you don't like.
Okay.
I have Dominic's.
Yeah.
I know you have thoughts on it, but
so you like?
You
like Charles Shaw with an orange in it, huh?
You know, I do enjoy the sangria. I know they're a little pricey for what they do, but just you've got like best outdoor seating of any bar in Ann Arbor probably, where you've got like a large outdoor seating area instead of just like a few metal tables out on the sidewalk. Pretty decent food, and just I don't know, like part of Dominic's draw is definitely that it's a seasonal place that's open only when the weather's right for it, and that to me, I enjoy being there because I know that it's one of those times where I don't hate living in Michigan.
There are Dominic's like obsessives.
There are. I don't get the people who are like that is their bar and that is the one bar they go to, but as like the first stop after a game, or you know, as part of a multi-stop tour, shall I say, that would be on my list.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan.
You've made your opinion. No.
All right, my number 5 is Soul Garden.
Okay.
Which is a Korean barbecue place down on Eisenhower. And the reason that I think it's a really good place to go after the game is I've never been in it and seen it like full. So after
that is
game,
a big draw.
There's going to be a ton of people there. You might have to wait in huge lines for everything. Or you could go get some banchan and do some Korean barbecue at a place that is off the beaten path and delicious. So, yeah.
I actually left a place or two from Ipsy off of here and was thinking about including it for the reason that if you can get 15 minutes outside of town, it's great to not be in a place that's totally packed. So sidetrack for people who
Sidetrack would be totally packed, though, wouldn't it?
I mean, it's kind of totally packed all the time, but like it wouldn't be any more or less so than usual. And there are several other great places around there too.
All right, Ace, your number 4.
NYPD for just easy grab food. You're near a bunch of stuff. It's probably going to be pretty crowded after a game, but if you can get in, you can get a full pizza. You can get pizza by the slice. They have like a gazillion different specialty pizzas. I think they do pizza about as well as anybody in Ann Arbor. And then you're smack in the middle of everything when you want to go for your libations afterwards.
Should I not have used that word? Is that?
I mean, I think the evidence is piling up.
Oh, come on.
You called yourself out, man.
Yeah.
I'm just piling on.
I have. This is maybe not a good one because it's Angelo's. Angelo's is delicious.
It is,
but it's, on a game day, you might not be able to get it because they don't take reservations.
It's going to be really tough.
Line.
Because you're not going to be the only person.
But if
wanting
you're
to go
in
to
town
Angelo's.
at like 6 in the morning,
if you're one of those crack of dawn tailgaters,
go get it.
Oof,
and
best breakfast in town.
Well, the first 2 times I went there, I didn't get it. I was like, "What is this place? This is bleh." And then I got something with hollandaise sauce on it. And that's sold. Like that's get the hollandaise sauce, and on anything, on everything, get the.
Put it on your waffles. Who cares? Just
that's where it's at, and it's like there's a lot of like kind of classic Ann Arbor places that kind of get by on reputation. Angelo's is not one of them.
Indeed.
All right, Ace, you're number 3.
Grizzly Peak, another spot that I'm choosing in large part because of.
Continue,
Sorry.
please, Ace.
Brief technical difficulty. So yeah, Grizzly Peak, you're right downtown. They're brewing their own beers. They do a good job of it. And I don't know. I just like there's a good it's kind of like half outside, half inside. Especially once you get the game day crowd there. Sidewalk can get a little crowded, but I just enjoy that bar. I like the way it's set up. It's good beer. Doesn't have to be too fancy.
My number 3 is actually downstairs of Grizzly Peak. It's Old German.
Fair enough, yeah.
Which is a new place that they kind of opened up down there that it's got a nice vibe. It's a nice atmosphere. They have a bunch of German beers, which are always good. You have like beer cheese and pretzel cheese. Mm-hmm. And this is another place that I feel is kind of like secret and hidden and isn't as busy as a lot of other places.
Yeah.
Just because the sign's very small. It's not like on the street.
Yeah.
There's a couple of tables outside, but it's not something where it's going to be
And people
packed.
kind of assume that that's just like part of the main Grizzly Peak thing, and so they don't venture down there.
So that's another place where there have been times when I'm in Ann Arbor and it's like, all right, none of these places are going to have seating, and then Old German is a place that does. And I might have just ruined that, but oh well.
It was good while it lasted.
Good while it lasted. Ace, you're number 2.
Jolly Pumpkin. I'm a sucker for sour beers. They do great sours. Their food is also good. They do a great charcuterie plate. Which is a nice, after game, you maybe don't want to eat like a full meal. You've been drinking a munch, but just nibble on something. They're really good with that stuff.
They have a salad that my wife adores. Their wedge. I hate sour beers.
Well, that is not the place for you. I think they're fantastic.
I have to get I am appalled by this sour beer renaissance stuff because it's like, okay, we took the beer, and then we made it taste like we did something wrong. That's sour
This is
beer.
incorrect. This is a bad beer take. This is a terrible beer take.
It's like you drink it and you're like, oh, this
bad beer
this
take.
tastes poisonous.
No.
This tastes foul.
No.
Something terrible has happened to this beer.
No.
Is that all? Is all you got? No.
That's I mean, I don't know. Do you not like anything with a hint of sour to it?
Some things that are sour are fine as long as they're supposed to be sour. And beer to me is definitely not in that category.
You're a beer purist when it comes to adding sour to the equation.
it makes me think like I'm drinking something that I shouldn't be drinking.
Fair enough.
I got a lot of problems.
I will drink them for you.
I got a lot of problems with IPAs too.
Oh man, you are just full of the hot beer takes these days.
They're not hot beer
I can actually
takes.
almost understand the IPA argument more.
Right, because it's just like we put 70,000 hops
everything into this beer that we possibly could.
We have 8,000 international bitterness units.
Yeah, I enjoy IPAs, but they can overdo it a little bit.
Two Hearted is perfect.
Yeah,
and no other IPA should ever be made.
I'm not going to go against that. Actually, fair. I do enjoy other IPAs. M43 Juicy, if you haven't had that from Old Nation, is actually incredible.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, and not like super hoppy. It's almost like if Oberon was twisted into an IPA a little bit.
That sounds...
I know that doesn't necessarily sound good, but like
Yeah.
you got to trust me on this one.
Okay.
It's incredible. It's the best thing to come out of the East Lansing area in a very long time. Had to get that shot in.
I have like 75 different jokes, all of which I should not say right now.
Yep.
I already had kind of a... Never mind. Was that your number 2?
That was my number 2.
My number 2 is The Last Word,
Ooh, that's a good one.
which
that's a great
probably
spot.
the best cocktail bar in town, and their food is incredible. The beignets are awesome. They have this oxtail poutine, which is off the hook, as the kids say. And you can get like a real good Manhattan there. So, yeah, it's a spot. That's another one that's kind of like off the beaten path as well. They don't even have a sign.
Yes.
So they do? I've been told they now have a sign. They didn't used to have a sign. Well, that's too bad. But this is another place where it's like not really likely that a lot of tourists and people are just going to run across it and go into it. So
Old Town's a little bit like that too, where it's not as well known, even though it's downtown.
yeah,
Big fan of Old Town.
yeah.
I also mentioned that just because I forgot to put it on my list. But
Old Town has the best like waitress in town, and she like paints, and I don't know her, but I feel like I go in there and it's like, oh, it's that
You.
the waitress. She's very motherly. It's wonderful.
nice.
Ace, you're number 1.
I'm not exactly straying from the beaten path here, but I got to go with Ashley.
Skeeps?
Not Skeeps. Skeeps and Ricks always, but if you're not 19, Ashley's.
Wait, can you get? No, we shouldn't make those allegations.
No, we should not.
No, we should not.
No.
You did it.
As an aside, as a slick aside, and then you stopped it,
Right, yeah,
and
sure.
pointed it out,
Yeah, okay.
and went, "This is the joke."
Yeah, this
Let's
is my
talk
fault.
about the
yeah,
joke.
that's my fault. I'm sorry.
So anyway, Ashley's tremendous beer selection. It's going to be crowded. Like, I mean, it's on
Yeah,
State
yeah.
Street. There are going to be a ton of people there. But if you can get a table, you're going to be around a bunch of other Michigan fans. You're going to pick from pretty much any beer that you're going to think to drink.
yeah.
Atmosphere inside can be very, very fun after games, especially when they win.
We went there after they hired Harbaugh,
I bet that was also a good time.
and it was a madhouse.
Yeah.
It was,
So like, if
yeah.
you want to like revel in victory, Ashley's is a good place to go.
Yeah. My number 1 is also pretty obvious, but it's the Pretzel Bell, which
A classic that has come back.
Yeah, and they have their basement is great because it has a bunch of TVs, and then there's like a nook with a bunch of TVs in it. So like if you want to watch something else, you can go in the nook and just hang out there. Their food's pretty good. They have pretzel rolls on everything, which is always a good idea.
Yeah, those are delicious.
And great beer selection, and it's really the TV setup in the basement that makes it my number 1 because it's. I'm a very logistical person. Like if I'm going to go and I want to watch football, I want the TVs to be in a place where nobody's going to walk in front of them.
You know who does that well?
BW3s.
Scorekeepers. They've got 3 big old HD projection screens on the wall.
Well,
You know, so if
I
you-
have
if you wanna hang
other
out-
criteria as well.
Well, you know, just in case logistics happens to be, your main point one evening, and you don't mind the. I'm not going to make that joke again.
I've
Never mind.
I've never been to Scorekeepers. And
See, that's wrong.
The only time I went to Rick's,
you went to Michigan.
The only time I went to Rick's, I was like trying out for a Fox game show. It was like during the day. I think it was called Greed. I was back in college. It was 20 years ago.
Yeah, but that's the whole point.
depressing.
Back in college, you go to you go there at 1 in the morning when they finally stop charging cover, maybe. Hopefully,
it wasn't. Nah.
I mean, it's a terrible, terrible place, but it's like one of those things that you have to go to once just to experience.
Why?
I dragged my brother there like as soon as he turned 21 just to be like, this is what you missed, and you should probably be happy about it, but this is what you missed.
Yeah. I turned 21 in Austin, so I didn't do that.
Not a bad place to turn 21.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah.
And I turned 21 a depressing amount of time ago now. Any other shout-outs for things that have propped up and you forgot about?
A quick one for Ravens Club, if you're looking for cocktails. That is another one that does them quite well.
They lost their chef, Frank Ferjean, and I don't like their food anymore. But yeah, their drinks are
if
awesome.
you're just going for drinks, like get the old-fashioned,
Yeah.
you'll be taken care of.
And if you're in Ipsy, go to Malu's because that place is awesome.
Yeah.
Have you been there? You
I
haven't.
have.
You
I
have. You
not.
did.
It is good.
Okay.
It is quite good.
Yeah. So there you go. That's our pre-post game advice.
Yeah.
Make it top 5.
Yeah, there it is.
Take one more break. Come back and talk about the Bearcats.
The places you'll go may seem far from Ann Arbor. From San Francisco to St. Louis to Shanghai. But as members of the Alumni Association, we're never far. Because Michigan is more than a place. It's a mindset that connects us. For those who leave Michigan, but for whom Michigan never leaves, this is where you belong. The Alumni Association of the University of Michigan. Join today at umalumni.com.
In southeastern Michigan, the yearly cost for a nursing home averages $90,000. It doesn't have to, though. Reed McCarthy founded Ann Arbor Elder Law after handling a tricky situation for his own family. Years of experience later, his boutique firm works with clients across southeast Michigan, dealing with Medicaid planning, long-term care, and tax, disability, and family law, not to mention family dynamics. If you have a family member who may need that level of care, or if you're ready to start your own estate plan, Reed can give you a plan for the future. Visit AnnArborElderLaw.com or call 734-945-9693. That's 734-945-9693.
If you're looking for a mortgage and you're a Michigan fan, there's only one place to go. HomeSure Lending. Both fair and honest, HomeSure Lending is local, efficient, and small enough so you'll work directly with the owner, Matt Demarest. Matt bleeds maize and blue, and so does his family.
Hey, this is Matt Demarest. I'm the owner of HomeSure Lending. We're a small, local, family-owned business, and so I'm here with a couple of members of my family, Cooper and Colby, my boys. Cooper, how old are you, buddy?
9.
Colby, what about you?
7.5.
Who's the best team in the whole country?
Michigan!
Can I get a Go Blue?
Go Blue!
We're a family business here in Ann Arbor. I'd love to serve you and your family with any of your mortgage needs.
Located at 2723 South State Street in Ann Arbor. For more info, go to HomeSureLending.com. That's HomeSureLending. You can reach Matt at 734-531-9950. HomeSure Lending, NMLS 1161358, Equal Housing Lender.
Let me just tell you a couple things to keep in your mind while you're out there. When we take the field, we're going to win. We've got big goals. We've got big ideas. We've got to win this game, and there is no game on the remainder of our schedule more important than the one you're going down to the tunnel to play today. Now let's go. Let's go.
Underground Printing is proud to present The Bow Store. Visit us at our new location at 333 South Main or online at www.bow.team.
If you need a place to stay in Ann Arbor and don't want to be stuck out by I-94, there's a new hotel downtown, and the owners, who should be well known to the Michigan community, have asked our help to get the word out. The Martin family, yes, that Martin family, recently opened the Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown, just a block from Main Street and a short walk to Michigan Stadium. They're competitively priced and offer a free hot breakfast, free Wi-Fi, a fully equipped kitchen in every suite, and an indoor pool. That's the Residence Inn Ann Arbor downtown.
If you've ever wondered whatever became of me, I'm living on the air in Cincinnati.
Yeah, man.
It's getting funky.
It's WKRP in Cincinnati, which was one of those shows that was always... I was a young person, and I was like, oh, that's a stupid old show. Just kind of like their football program.
Good one.
So we have to do the thing where we eat hummus live on air.
Oh, yeah, we're doing that.
We actually ate some in this... Oh, I got it on my pen. Now I have to eat it off the pen. It's good. It's the sriracha carrot one. I've had it before. It has a pleasant heat, not like a too much heat.
Not
but
overwhelming.
It brings something to the party.
A couple different flavors.
Made with white beans and topped with sunflower seeds and apricots, or apricots, depending on
Whether you pronounce it correctly.
Which one's right?
Apricot.
Okay, I don't know these things. I don't know these things.
I don't. A foodie.
I don't talk to people. I only read books. Do you read books?
Occasionally.
Lantana is available at Bush's, Kroger, and Meijer. Favorite question mark. When did I first try it? Question mark. What is this copy?
Clearly not meant to be read word for word.
Lantana, this is your copy. LantanaFoods.com.
Don't eat the ones made out of kittens.
Don't eat hummus made out of kittens. Eat Lantana hummus. Thank you, Ace.
You're welcome.
All right,
we got to keep on message.
Let's talk Bearcats.
They're not good.
Okay.
They're really not good.
So they played Austin P last week.
They played Austin P, who's entered that game 1-46 in their last 47 games as an FCS team. And they outplayed Cincinnati pretty much start to finish, outgained them, were kind of screwed over by the officials a little bit. Cincinnati didn't get much of a run game going, didn't get much of a passing game going.
That sounds bad.
Against Austin P.
Is it Austin P or Austin Pay?
I think it's P.
Okay.
Yeah. The Governors.
No.
Really, the Governors. They are the Governors.
So they make NASCAR cars go slow? What the NASCARs? Is that what the
yeah.
Stock cars.
There it is.
Yeah. This is a great segment.
It sure is. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to say about them. They're really bad. Don't. I mean, I've done,
You did a season preview for them.
I did a season preview.
What is their hypothetical strength?
They've got two position groups that are decent. They've got a decent defensive line.
Okay.
They've got a defensive tackle, Cortez Broughton, who's kind of as Seth described him in the film post this week, a poor man's Mo Hurst. He's about 280 pounds, relies on his first step to kind of knife between guys, which has its ups and downs. If you get under his pads, you can move him. Another decent defensive tackle, a defensive end they moved down from kind of a hybrid linebacker spot, and he was productive there last year. But their linebacker level got wiped out after last year. So the defensive front did not matter that much. Their other strong point is on the other side of the ball. It's their wideouts. Devin Gray is a former JUCO transfer who was their leading receiver last year and was really the only guy who could manage to be a big play threat while their quarterback is basically a poor man's Alex Hornibrook. I would he's kind of real. He does not have a strong arm. I'll put it that way.
Does he have two or?
I mean, their other receivers seem.
Is it like a fugitive kind of thing?
I'm lost.
The fugitive.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know what you were referring to. Oh, sorry. Yes, my bad. It's been a long week.
It's a very famous movie.
I know.
This is our most married couple.
Mr.
segment.
Apricot over here. Yeah. No, it really is. We're sniping at each other now. Good God.
I feel like I'm in a Woody Allen movie. So is this maybe an interesting matchup for a Nolan Delizio to kind of find his footing against a guy who's decent?
I think we're going to he should be able to get some snaps against Kevin Muhan, the aforementioned hybrid linebacker who's moved down.
Is he Silverberry Muhan's brother?
I'm not sure. I hope so.
Wouldn't you?
Cincinnati's had some amazing names come through.
If your name was Kevin and your brother's name was Silverberry, wouldn't you be livid?
I would assume so.
Kevin? Really? Kevin?
I'm just disappointed that Leviticus Payne is no longer around.
Oh, that's yeah. They had a quarterback, Munchie Legault.
Yeah, they also had, Cincinnati has had some tremendous Name of the Year candidates come through.
Man.
This year's team disappointingly light on them, and also disappointingly light on talent.
Was Antonio Kennard on their team last year?
Yes, he was on their team. He is one of the departed starters in their linebacker core. Yeah, there are some weird Rich Rod throwbacks. With their top corner is a guy who unseated Adrian Whitty a few years ago. There are some very random Rich Rod connections with this team.
But Tommy Tuberville just kind of drove him into the ground.
Yeah, he just kind of stopped recruiting, stopped coaching. That's a bad combination.
That'll happen.
That's why you don't hire Tommy Tuberville if you're Cincinnati. You hire a young coach who wants to try.
Didn't Tuberville jump from the Louisville job or something?
I can't remember his whole progression.
Some crazy I'm going to be at Cincinnati now move. He didn't get fired.
I mean, maybe it was because he was going to, because it seems like he's certainly stopped coaching before he actually stopped coaching.
Well, he was going to run for governor of Alabama, and then he was like, "No, that sounds like work."
As it turns out, that requires working.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, with
So Fickle, I mean, like... So
Let's get this segment back on track
so
for another 20 seconds.
So they bring in Luke Fickle, first-year head coach, Ohio State defense coordinator. Michigan fans probably pretty familiar with him. He has a couple kind of odd hires for coordinator spots.
Okay.
He brings in Mike Denbrock as the offensive coordinator from Notre Dame. And that's kind of a strange hire, in my opinion, since Fickle is a defense guy. Denbrock is an offense guy, but he's an offense guy who wasn't really in charge of his own offense at his previous stop.
Is that
because that's a Brian Kelly offense?
Like Dino Babers is working out okay. It's kind of the same.
That's true.
Like why you'd like go for the Brian
But Babers
Kelly
was more of an
offense.
up and comer, I think. But
no, yeah, I mean I agree with you, but like I don't know.
Well, then on the other side, on defense, he brought in Marcus Freeman, who was an Ohio State linebacker like
2 years
yeah,
ago.
not very long ago.
How old is he? Literally.
I think he's younger than me.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Thanks.
You're almost 30.
That's true. But let's see.
Well,
he's older than me.
Oh,
jerk.
is he?
He is 31.
31.
Thank you very much.
Barely older than you.
But he was Purdue's linebackers coach for the last 4 years, and that he doesn't have any experience as a defensive coordinator until this year, even at lower level schools.
He's just like recruiting and like Fickle's the guy, right? Like,
Exactly. Yes, you have to think so. So I mean, Seth noted in week 1 they were running a lot of like what Ohio State's old base defense. They were running a lot of quarters. So they were also busting a lot of quarters. So we'll see how that goes against Michigan. But the main issue with them is once you get past that defensive line, it's just kind of open season. That their players in space are not fast or good. Their corners were getting beat over the top on like 3rd and 22 hitch and goes. Their safeties were overrunning play. Like Michigan's going to get a lot of big plays because anything that gets past the line of scrimmage is just liable to go all the way.
Okay. And then on the other side of the ball, they're just probably going to crawl up in a ball and dive.
Yeah, it's tough to even figure out what they're going to try to do because they have 4 new starters on the offensive line.
And Seth put like the cyan ring of death on
all of them.
It's not.
And
that's not good.
I mean, considering the level of competition that they faced in week 1 and the level of competition they will be facing tomorrow, that's not going to go so well. And
bodes unwell.
Their main running back couldn't crack 4 yards per carry last year before they lost these 4 offensive line starters. He's actually pretty decent once he gets into the open field, but the yards per carry tells you how many chances he has at that. As I mentioned before, their quarterback has a pop gun arm, Hayden Moore. Could be a poor man's Kellen Moore, actually.
Okay, so is there any interesting...
Devin Gray can go up and get it as a receiver. So there will be a test, hopefully, for Lavert Hill and David Long. But the main thing from this game is everybody stay healthy.
Okay. Not really what you expect when you put Cincinnati on the schedule. They've been a decent kind of mid-level team.
Yeah, usually
for a
you're
long
thinking
time.
that's going to be like a team that competes in whatever conference they happen to be in that year.
What is it?
It's the AAC
it's
now.
The Big East or something?
It was the Big East. Now it's the American. But yeah, I mean,
they're in the Missouri Valley this year.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan happened to just catch them at like the
Tuberville.
The nadir of where their program's going to be at. And I would expect Fickle to build it back up quite nicely once he gets recruiting going. But for the moment, this is a team at a severe talent deficit that isn't running anything too interesting.
Special teams, maybe?
Their kicker missed an extra point last week, and their punter's Australian. So there we
go.
They got an Aussie punter.
There we go.
We found something good.
That guy is that. I mean, that'll be a challenge because
don't rough him.
Well, also he might just like make fumbles happen like they do. You know, I think Aussie punter is going to be. Does he have a name, or is it just his name literally Aussie punter? And he's like from New Jersey. That would be even better.
Where is the special? James Smith. That is not a fun name. Boo.
All right, that's it. We'd like to thank our sponsors one more time: Underground Printing, the Bow Store, Homeshore Lending, the Alumni Association of the University of Michigan, the Residents Inn, Ann Arbor Downtown, Ann Arbor Elder Law, Lantana Hummus, Human Element, Michigan Law Grad, and Peak Wealth Management.
Who's got it better than us? Nobody!